Alright, this will be, I think, work in progress number 3 on the Hellboys. So, last time I left you, I just finished kind of sanding down some areas. I went ahead and, after that, I re-primed, kind of spot primed everything, and a few other little areas popped up, so of course I had to go back and kind of fix those. Just, again, some more pinholes and stuff keep popping up, and then I went back and re-primed those again, and then I just hit this with a 3M microfine sanding sponge. I used one pretty good. Hold on, I'm going to change my white balance. It's way jacked up. 1 second. That's a little better. So I used a used microfine 3M sanding sponge just to kind of go back over it and give it a light sanding. And now I'm ready for my base coat color. So last time I did these guys, I mixed up my own kind of base coat dark red, simply by mixing black and red together. But when I was getting paint for these guys, I went ahead and got some Mr. Color Whole Red, and this is very close to what I had before as a base for the first one. It'll just keep me. The reason I decided to do that instead of mixing my own base color, it'll just keep it consistent across everything. So if I run out, I don't have to worry about mixing it exactly the same again. So this may be a little lighter than the previous color I started with, but it's okay because in the end we're gonna, you see how I do stuff. I bring it up, bring it back down, highlight, shadows, all that stuff until I get what I want. So we're gonna, I cleaned up my spray booth, cleaned all my airbrushes, got my arsenal down here. So I use all sorts of airbrushes. I use one of my favorites is the Badger Chrome. That's this guy right here. I actually own 3 of these things, 3 or 4. I may have 4. I think I have 3. One is in the drawer. The air valve is not working. That's one of my favorite brushes. My second a close second or first would be the Iwata HPC Plus airbrush. And then I have an HPC here, just HPCS airbrush. And then we have an HPC Plus. Oh my gosh. Iwata HPC Plus. I cannot talk again. This has a little more refined. You can dial it in a little tighter. And then I do have a Grex trigger. I'm not sure the model number on this. I use this for like when I'm spraying a lot of primer at one time, simply because it has a huge cup and the trigger is much more and your fingers do not get nearly as tired. So I use this when I'm doing a lot of base coating or stuff. But for this guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and use my Badger Chrome because I don't need to put a ton of paint on. I just need to base coat it. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this stuff up with my Mr. Color leveling thinner. And for everyone who's going to ask me, what's your thinning ratio? I get that all the time. Every video, what's your thinning ratio? Someone PMs me, what's your thinning ratio? There really is no set rule as far as thinning ratios go. A good rule of thumb for Mr. Color is to start with a 1 part thinner to 1.5 parts paint. No, reverse that, sorry. See, guys, told you wrong already. 1 part paint to 1.5 parts thinner. So that's a good general rule. Some colors need less, some need more. Just kind of depends, So I'll do a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio on this guy, and we'll see what it looks like. It should be good. Again, like I said, some colors need more, some need less. So we get these guys base coated, and we're going to let them dry about half an hour, 45 minutes or so. Let them dry down a little bit, and then we'll highlight it with white, and then we'll start building up our reds. So again, one of my favorite tools is the Badger paint mixer. It's a silly little thing, but it's really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up probably this whole jar, just because I got 3 of these guys to base coat. I bought 2 jars of this at the Hobby Town. And then what I like to do is if I'm mixing up a whole jar of Mr. Color, I actually put my thinner back in the paint jar, and then I'll mix it up in there. And what that does, it helps get all that paint out of there. Because you'd be surprised at how much paint gets left in these jars if you don't do that. So I put some thinner in there, just mix it around. And I'll serve. So one jar of this is 10 mils. That's their normal jar. So basically, by the time I'm done mixing, I'll have 30 mils of sprayable paint. 25 mils, 30 mils, somewhere in there. So again, now I'm going to mix it up down here. You can't see it because I'm off camera. So I just took that thinner that was in there, and I put it in my mixing cup, and I mix it up in here. Give that a good stir. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some more back in the paint jar. Getting all the paint out of here. You know, at $3 a pop or whatever for this size jar. I think it's $3. So $3.50. I can't remember what they charge in Hobbytown. And then the GX paints I think are $4.50 a bottle or something like that. You know, it adds up pretty quick. I've got about 300 bottles of Mr. Color paint. Maybe 250, somewhere in there. Got a lot. So we're just going to top that off, and basically I got pretty much all the paint out of there. You can see it's pretty much gone. We'll mix this up, and this looks to be about right. It's maybe a little thick. We'll spray it. Now I'm going to put a little more thinner in there, and it's going to go right into the mixing cup. I don't want to add any more paint to this. I want to thin it out a little bit more. So the first Hellboy I did, the trick with these guys is, how do you set this guy up to dry after you sprayed it? And the first one I had a bunch of clamps on the Fist of Doom, kind of holding him up. So what I'm going to do now is, basically what I do when I prime these guys, I'm just going to set these on the legs, because they've been pinned to the legs. So I'll base coat it, and I'll set these on the legs to dry. And that's the way I'll do it. And if the paint gets messed up down here a little bit, I don't care. You're not going to see it later anyway. So, all right. So I'll put my mask on, and we'll do a little spraying. Again, 20 psi. I'll tell you, my only gripe with the Badger Chrome is that the lid doesn't stay on too well. You got to push it down there pretty good. When you first get them, they're actually kind of loose. They do make a rubber one, but it sits down in there and you lose volume. And when you're spraying a lot, I don't like to lose that volume. So here we go. Also, another thing which has been happening lately, I need to go with Ken Badger on this. I've been getting paint buildup on the tip guard, and then it causes it to splatter. I think I can take that tip guard off. I'm going to try that. I can't do that. I thought the tip guard came off. Could be wrong. Maybe not. I think I have to buy a replacement for that. I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to bend these out just a hair. And all it does, all this tip guard does, is it protects your tip from getting busted. Okay, so that's the first coat. I'm going to put this down and bring the other ones and spray those. Alright, there's one coat on everything. I actually had to go run to the hobby store and get some more of my whole red because I was going to run out. So I can go ahead and spray the second coat of red on the torsos because those had a good 30 minutes to dry. So I'll just put that on time lapse again also because it's the same thing. This coat will be a little wetter though, so I'll put it on a little heavier to get more coverage. The first coat's basically just to kind of get a mist coat on there, kind of get some coverage, and just give something else for the next coats of paint to bind to. Okay, that's 2 coats on everything, and I think I need to go get a new filter because, as you can probably tell, got a lot of haze in the air. So I think this filter is pretty much spent from the Hulk. So I'm gonna go get a new filter. I'll come back and I'll look over things and see if I need a 3rd coat. I'll definitely put a 3rd coat on the torsos. I'm not sure about the horns and stuff. I think I've got those pretty good. So I'm gonna go get a new filter. I'll get a couple actually, so I have backups. And then I'll give the torsos about another 30 minutes or so to dry. And then I'll hit those with a 3rd coat, and then I'll look at the rest of it. And then we'll probably be done with the base coating. So see you guys in a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throw a 3rd coat on the torsos, and then we'll let it dry for a little bit, and then we'll do highlighting. So again, just more time lapse of me spraying. Fun and exciting stuff. Okay, well, that paint dries. I'm going to go ahead and get some of the accessories primed. I'm going to prime everything except for the cross and the horseshoe for now, because those get put on chains later. So I'm going to go ahead and prime like the leather pouches and the grenades and stuff. I'll do that real quick. It won't take that long. But again, just using Stynylrez. These have been all been washed previously, soap and water. All been thinned and everything, so should go pretty quick priming these guys. We got my block of foam down here with everything segregated by which kit you go to. So I'll be able to get these. I'd be able to get these painted tonight, like at least the leather part. That'd be kind of cool. If you've never used Stynylrez before, and I've said this before, when you first put it on, it looks real kind of thick, but just let it dry and it levels out very nicely. The first time I used it, I was like, whoa, that's really thick. You can thin it with some water. They recommend distilled water just so it's clean. But yeah, you can thin it with water. Good to go. Just a little bit though, not a whole lot. Sand that a little bit. So I'm just organizing my parts down here so I can get to everything easily based on what I'm doing. So So far it's looking pretty good. I see one little spot on one of the parts I need to sand down just a little bit. I can do that once the primer is dry for a little bit. So I want that base coat of paint to really dry really good. I'm going to dry for an hour or so because the last two coats were put on pretty wet. And I want those to dry down so you get accurate idea of what the tone is. Actually, you can tell by the hands and everything what the tone is. So those have dried for 45 minutes or so. I see a little bit of work on some of these pieces, so we'll see how far I get on tonight. Not bad. Saw a little seam on that one. My goal is to get the skin sprayed, get the skin done tonight, and then see what else I can get done. Of course, the last amount of prep work took me a little bit longer than anticipated, and I took some time to clean my booth and airbrushing and stuff, so, yeah. I've got an idea in my mind what I want to try to get done in a day, and sometimes it happens, sometimes I don't do it, sometimes I get more done. It just kind of depends on how things go. I have to get another big bottle of Stano Res. Of the gray, at least. I'm almost out of it. Probably got one or two more projects left in there, and then it's going to need a new bottle. So you can see how fast I put this on. I put it on pretty wet. I mean, I'm putting it on like basically one coat. I'm not flooding it though. You know, as long as you keep the airbrush moving, you'll get they'll come out nice. Just don't go too. You're gonna spray down this heavy. Just make sure you keep the airbrush moving. More, and then we'll come back after the base coat is dry. We'll check it out. I'm pretty sure I don't need any more on there between the first mist coat and the two wet coats afterwards. Should be good. Have good coverage. I'll check it out. I know I got a little dust in one of the pieces, so I'll have to go through there real quick and just real lightly with that like micro mesh or the microfine sanding sponge. Just take a little bit, very lightly sand it down just to get some of the dust out of it. But for the most part, we're good. I see and on these parts I just primed. Saw like 2 pieces that needed a little bit of work, not much. Like I saw a seam on one, and that's really it. And one needed some line spread back into it. So that's it for now. We'll come back and we'll do either the base coating of the leather pouches or the highlighting on the red. So we'll see what's ready to go next. Okay, I just went through and kind of went over all the leather pouches and the accessories and fixed a few things. There's a big bubble in one of the grenade thingies and a couple areas that need a little bit of sanding. And then we scrapped some of the panel lines on the pouches. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reprime them, but instead of gray, I'm going to use the Stynylrez African American skin tone, or they call it ebony flesh. That'll be a good base for the pouches since those are going to go leather anyways. And I was just thinking I should have base coated the the torso and everything else in the dull pink, so it would have been a pink base, kind of a dusty pink base. I wouldn't have had to use so much base coat, but it's one of those things you learn as you go. So next time I do a red kit, I'll base coat with the dusty red. I think they have I could have even done like a Mars red or what do you call it? A red oxide would have been good too as a base coat. I think Stynylrez makes a red oxide. If they do, I need to get some. So I'm going to use this ebony flesh to reprime everything real quick. I'm just going to put some here. This will be real quick. So everything's already kind of looks good. And I'm even going to reprime the kind of the grenade thingies in this color too, because those are just going to go metallics in the end. So, but this will give a nice base for the leather color that I'll go on next. But they all had a little bit of sanding that needed to be done, some mold lines, some of the. I think Narin goes through and cleans up these castings a little bit because some of the mold lines were missing. I've been sanded away. So I went through and rescribed those. And on these pouches, I didn't worry if they were super perfect because I wanted to look a little beat up anyway. So I didn't, get them absolutely smooth. And actually, the first Hellboy I didn't do anything to them. I just left them as is and they look good. But I need that one to go and clean them up a little bit. And the paint on the torsos is still drying. It's still not quite dry enough for me to do any highlighting on. So I'm going to spray these, let these dry, and at that point I'll decide if I want to go ahead and base coat these in leather or if I want to start doing the highlighting on the skin. I am going to get the skin paint tonight. I need to get that done to be in a good spot tomorrow. But I get the skin done tonight. Then what I can do tomorrow is I'll paint the hair black, and then I'll do the eyes at the very end. Like tonight, what I'll do is I'll do the skin, and I'll spray the horns and the hands and all that stuff. And then I'll let it dry overnight, and then I may have to go back and do some more like shading. Sometimes I'll let it sit overnight to kind of. After you look at something for a while, you think it looks good, and you sleep on it, you may come back and see something you want to improve on. I do that a lot. I'll paint something, I'll sleep on it, and I'll come back the next day like, I could do this a little bit better. Or this needs a little more highlight, or this needs a little more shadow. So, and that also just depends as the paint dries, it gets darker, it dries down. So, that makes a difference too if you let the paint sit overnight. When I do Gundams, I don't even I base coat one day, and I don't even do any other painting that same day. I wait till the next day to do the shading, and then I let that dry overnight, and then I see if I need to hit it again. So When I'm doing Gundams, like the shading is a 3-day process for me. So I like that paint to dry completely down and give me an idea, give me an accurate account of what my colors are doing. Again, even though some of these didn't need any work, I'm just going to go ahead and hit them again with the ebony flash. Real light. Just covers the gray. And it gives another layer of protection too. So I see a lot of guys using stylo res and actually do a lot of shading with it. I haven't tried that yet. It's a little thick to do any kind of shading that I like. I have to thin it down a little bit, so it's something I need to practice because I've seen good results with it. I haven't tried it yet though. But a lot of guys will spray, they'll do all their shading with the black and the white and the gray, get all their highlights, midtones, and shadows established, and then start laying colors on top of it. And that's basically what I do, but I'm not going to do it with style rather than do it with paint. This is actually a really nice base tone for black flesh tones. It's a nice mid-tone to start with. To build up really nice, some nice highlights and shadows with this. Especially when it dries down, it'll look really good. It's a good mid-tone or light African skin color. I also noticed when I was wearing these, they didn't get a full cover with the gray primer, so this will help. Just make sure it's got a good, even coat of primer. The only other Narin kit I really would ever want to build is a Scarecrow kit. It's really nice. I really don't have any interest in trying any Predator kits. He's got some nice Predator kits, but even though I like the movie and I like the Predator, I don't have a desire to paint the Predator kit. Scarecrow, not the Scarecrow, the Crow. Not the Scarecrow. The Crow is an amazing kit. The likeness he has of Brandon Lee is spot on. So what I'll do when I do the shading on the actual Hellboy, I'll just videotape one instead of all three, because it's going to take a while. I videotape the base cutting of all three. I probably should have just done one, but it's all right. So I'll tape the process of one, and then you'll have the idea of how that's done. And this takes care of all these guys. These have been refined after a little bit of cleanup. That's it for those. I just gotta wait for those to dry. And I'm gonna check on those in about 10-15 minutes, and I'll check on the torsos too. The torsos are ready to go. I'll start highlighting those. Alright, so the torsos still need a little more time to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and base coat the leather pouches in GarageKits.us leather tan. And this is the same leather tan I've used on every other leather thing I've done so far, other than the belts, which will get a different technique. Hold on, let me wipe the lens off. I'm sure it's all foggy from all the spraying. So let's shake this up really good. Throw some in my airbrush. Get these base coated. This paint covers really well. It's ready to spray right out of the bottle. Just these paints are really, I never really used acrylics until I started using these paints, and a lot of people like use Vallejo and all that stuff, but you have to, like, apparently even the Model Air Vallejo, you need to, like, thin and stuff, and it's like, well, I got this special recipe of do 10% of this and 15% of that, do 3 drops of this, flip a coin, and do a somersault, and then it'll work. That doesn't work for me. I need something that sprays right out of the bottle, and Jesse's paint spray right out of the bottle. So, I know a lot of people like Vallejo, and they have a lot of luck with it, but if I have to sit there and make like a homemade brew to get the spray, I don't want to deal with it. I do have some of the Vallejos that I hand brush, and I like those, but as far as airbrushing them, I have no desire to try them yet. So, there's that one. And I'll just throw this on time lapse while I do it. Okay, so we can start highlighting stuff. In my airbrush, I have Mr. Color GX White mixed 2-to-1, 1 part paint, 2 parts thinner. And we're going to go in. I'm going to just show you one of these and one of like the hands and all that stuff, and then I'll do the rest off of. Maybe I'll do one time lapse. But so basically, what we're going to go in is we're going to go in and first we'll blow up all this dust, and we're going to go in and just kind of. I'm going to hit the highlights. So now this paint's a little thin, which is okay. I'm going to go and hit the highlights. Those mirrors are real tight on the here. The nose. That's some weird stuff. Not as hard to see with this camera, but So what we're doing here is basically we're establishing kind of like the highlight, the brightest red, and just kind of giving this guy some shape. As soon as we start to spray our resin, it's got some nice dimension to it. What I'll do is I'll highlight everything, I'll do this one, then I'll do the next one. That way they're all consistent as far as shading goes. Looks kind of funky now, but don't worry, it'll come together. Also kind of do some down shading on the face like this. Establish a highlight. Also for the ears. So that's basically kind of how the face is going to look before I spray red. I'm going to go in here under the neck and get like the Adam's apple. In all the high areas. Capital schmutz. So I'm going to put this on time lapse because this is going to take a while. I'll show the results at the end. Okay, so this is what he looks like after highlighting. We're going to let this dry. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones, and then we'll move on to the horns and stuff like that. So I won't record the next ones of these because it's the same thing over and over again. But when I get to the hands and stuff like that, I'll record that. So I'll come back when I'm doing that part. All right, so got all the torsos highlighted. Now we're going to go do the rest of the parts. So like the first thing I'm going to do is the hands. Just hit those high spots. It can be hard to see in the camera here, but just give it a little shape. simple on that. Same on this guy. You can get the tops of the knuckles. I'm doing this real loose. I'm letting the paint kind of do its own thing. Fingertips. That. And then for the horns, I'm going to basically do everything except we're going to make these kind of fade into black at the tips and the base. I hit the tip there on accident. I may have to go back and hit that again with the base color. Probably get away with just like hitting with some really dark, clear black. And I'm just going to do one set on camera, and then I'll do the rest off the camera. See, I'm leaving the tip dark and the base dark. And they'll get exaggerated even more when I go to do my shadows. I'm always fighting dust. It's crazy. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm always getting dust. This is all just laying all the ground. This is just laying groundwork for. I'm really adding shadows after I spray the primary red color. As you'll see that after I spray the red the first time, it's not very. It's not a lot of hot. Shading kind of gets lost, but it's kind of gives me a roadmap. Again, if I was just to spray my base color and then just go add shadows to it, it wouldn't have the depth as, you know, doing these extra steps right here. So that's why I do it. So you can see that. It looks better. And then for the broken off horns, I'm just going to hit from the top like this. And it'll just kind of fade on its own. Just like that. Tail gets the same treatment as the horns. And I'll let the tip go dark and the base go dark. I'm just going to hold it. Unfortunately, the tail's really hard to hold. Even with the clip, it's hard because it's just so, the weight is so funny. What I'll do is when I'm done all my shading, I'm going to keep the white in this airbrush before, and then when I come to do the red, if I see any kind of shading I missed, I can hit it real quick before I go too far with the red. So there, that's how those get shaded. So I'll come back after those are done. Okay, so I got all the white sprayed, the highlights. It's really not going to be, I guess this would be the highlight because once I get the red down, it'll be the brightest red on him. So now what I need to do is start spraying my red. And the red for that's going to be Mr. Color GX Red, number 3. So I'm going to mix that up. 1 part paint to 2 parts thinner, and I'll come back and we'll start spraying. Okay, so this will be very similar to the process that you use for spraying the base coat. I'm going to put on like a mist coat on everything, let that dry for a little bit. And they'll come back and we'll start building up layers. So I've got my Grex trigger gun out because I'm going to be spraying a lot. And whenever I use my Grex, I take the needle guard off because that seems to like make a funny noise and it bugs me. So I just take it off. So it's going to get real hazy in here pretty quick. So I'll be putting out a lot of material. My battery's about to die, so we'll see how long I go before I have to change that out. So hopefully I'll get the first layer on this before the battery dies, and I have to change it out, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here we go. Okay, it's real hazy in here. It'll take a second for it to pull it out, but that's it for the first coat. So you see it just kind of went in there and dusted it on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off and get a coat on everything, the torsos, the hands, and everything. And then I'll come back and do the second coat and show you what that looks like. Okay, so everything has a coat on it. This is a tricky process because it's really hard to get the paint to be all even and stuff. So now I'm going to start putting it on a little wetter and start building up the color. Again, it's going to get pretty hazy pretty quick, but I'm going to put on a little bit wetter. Okay, that's coat number 2, so I'm going to do that to the rest of them. And you can see how the color's starting to build up now. I didn't realize I was still recording. I'm not going to record all these. It's just the same process over and over again. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to call this work in progress done. This is after 3 coats of the red. Now you'll notice he's a little bright, and my shading isn't showing up a whole lot right now, but that's okay because this is going to dry down overnight, and I'm going to go in and hit all the shadows. Actually, he's looking a little orange in this light, but he's not. He's really kind of bright red, but we're going to knock it down. We'll go in and bump up the shadows with some clear black and some clear red, and we'll get the color. We'll shift the color a little bit. But yeah, so this is basically the base red. So I start with that whole red, then I highlight with white, then I put 3 coats of the GX red on top of that. And again, the shading's not showing up real good right now, but when I start adding the shadows and stuff back in, he's going to really pop. So again, this is just the second step in the skin. So first step was a dark base coat and highlight. Second step was this red, and the third step will be adding some shadows. So we're going to do that tomorrow because there's a lot of paint on here. They need to dry really well, and it's late. I've been working 12 hours on this stuff today, so I'm going to call it a night and call this work in progress done. And then we'll catch you back up tomorrow, and we'll start putting some shadows and stuff back into the figure. So as always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Mrozik. Catch you guys next time.